out there? This is Wake Angel 2001, and it's time for me to begin showing off what I purchased at New York Comic Con 2018. Up first are the 3 Transformers that I purchased. I didn't really find anything in the new lines that particularly interested me at the moment, but I did find some blasts from the past that I always regretted not getting. They are 2 Revenge of the Fallen Scouts, that being Dead End and Sunspot, which we'll get into later, and perhaps the crown jewel and a personal holy grail, a 100% perfectly intact, near mint condition Autobot Hound from the Classics line, complete with the instruction sheets and all of his accessories. I never thought that I would find one completely intact, and they had them for only $20, which is only slightly above retail. So that was really fantastic. So looking at these 3 toys, the overall thesis is that they really don't quite make them like they used to. So we're going to do these one at a time. So we're going to start with the classics because, well, he's classic. Technically speaking, the line was called Universe, but it was still really part of the classics line back then. Now, I remember Classics Universe, they had one philosophy. There were no gimmicks, like no spring-loaded weapons, no weird automorph thing, no crazy accessories, just make the toy look as much like the character from the G1 cartoon as we possibly can. And that's it. So that's what they did with Autobot Hound here. And look, oh, I'd forgotten how amazingly these old Transformers can roll. I absolutely love the pin disc wheels. I don't even care that the rims aren't painted because they perform so well. I mean, compared to a modern Transformer that uses these weird little clip-me-doos for the wheels, and you can kind of get them to roll, but like they're louder, they don't go as far or as fast. Like, no, the way they make the wheels nowadays just sucks. And I know there's practical reasons. Since the Classics line, Hasbro has had its budget slashed, the price of oil has gone up, making plastic more expensive, so I know they literally can't quite make them like they used to. But darn, like, it just goes to show how awesome the old days were. Like yeah, this is physical proof that the good old days were better. Then again, you gotta remember, there's no gimmicks here. This just turns from a Jeep into Hound. He doesn't have to be a combiner limb. He doesn't have to have a removable head. None of that. Plus, he isn't beholden to some modern comic book. He's just like, try and recapture what we remember from the 1980s. Okay, so he, of course, comes with accessories for some... Now, to this day, I'm absolutely baffled why they chose to package Ravage, the cassette transformer, with Hound, because he's like after Laserbeak, the most famous transformer to be associated with Soundwave. If anything, you'd think he'd be packed with Soundwave, but no, Hound. So random. Hound even has a couple little clip-me-doos in the back, which you can fold down. They go into the holes in the cassette. And by the way, this is an almost 1-to-1 scale replica of the type of cassettes you would put in an answering machine. That's what we had before voicemail, little kids. So I'm going to put it to the side for now as we concentrate on Hound himself. Hound has one other accessory. It is this little weapon. Kind of looks like a drill gun thing. Actually, it reminds me of Bumblebee's Stinger. And it has a special little L-shaped handle that goes into these things on the back of the doors. So, you know, nice little convenient, unique way for only this one toy to hold that. Also, there's no 5mm peg. It's like a slot. And these holes in the side doors are not 5mm pegs. They're too small to fit the gun into. So the gun has one mounting point. So yeah, it's actually really, like, look at this Jeep mode. This is, you like I could hand this to some kid and tell them this is a toy Jeep, and like, okay, like if you're really savvy, you might get that these are arms in here, and his crotch plate floats around a little bit. But really, like, there's like almost nothing of. There's nothing to really give a hint that there's a robot in here, aside from a few little panel lines here and there. This is an amazingly coherent truck mode. It's beautiful. I had actually forgotten just how amazing these old Transformers could be in hiding the fact that they actually are Transformers. Because this is outright amazing. And this predates the movie line, keep in mind. Because I believe this particular Hound toy was made in 2006, I want to say. I know the first movie came out in 2007, and this was definitely around before the movie came around, as far as I'm aware. I at least remember seeing it before the movie was popular. Also, the seats fold down. I like how they do that. This is all to form the thighs as part of the transformation, but I kind of love that it has folding seats, just to say. Alright, so, can I transform it on camera? These are relatively simple transformations, because like I said, there's no gimmick to it. And, I remember... Yeah, there we go. Like, you just literally pull the thing apart. Yeah, like, I kind of love how that's actually, like, step one is just pull this thing out longer. Look at the compression. Like, that's how you get some pseudo mass shifting in there. Yeah, I'm also a big sucker for pseudo mass shifting. Like when you have a surprisingly small vehicle mode for a relatively big robot, or vice versa. I really like when they do that. So as you can see, the legs form with big old boots, and I don't know if the torso's a little bit more complicated. You kind of have to get the wheels out like this. Then the arms, but this thing folds down to get out of the way. Bring the arms out. Fold this white thing around. Come on. Okay. Then I always kind of get tangled up here. Like, yeah. Then this whole thing comes down to form the torso. Fold up the head. If there's any weakness, is that there's no really strong click point for the upper torso or the head. They're just kind of resting there based on the friction of the joints. I haven't found anything that strongly pegs in for anything. Like, like everything there is just hinges and just kind of rests based on the geometry of the figure. And then you push the wheels back there to fill in his back, because it's kind of hollow there without it. And then the hands fold up. And they actually click into place. It's like, that's not just a passive swing out. Like, there's an actual peg in for those hands. And then boom, there is Hound, looking almost like he just stepped out of the TV screen in 1985. I mean, he's not completely perfect. I mean, if you ask me, his arms are a little bit too small, but this was actually a pretty common aesthetic in the Classics line. I remember Starscream is almost exactly like this. Mirage has longer arms, but by and large, I remember more Transformers being like this than like Mirage. Yeah, like, aside from these two wheels up there and the windshield, he has almost no obvious vehicle kibble. Like, every part of the vehicle, for the most part, has been used to make his body. Like, look at his feet. They are just big old chunks of the car with hinges and these amazing ankle pivots. Like, look at how wide a stance you can get with his ankle pivots and still keep his feet flat. That is impressive. So yeah, like this is really my favorite kind of Transformer, the type that uses the vehicle to make the robot and vice versa. Like I know a lot of modern day Transformers are like a robot's hidden inside of a car and then he wears most of that car as a backpack, but not these guys. These guys are robots truly made out of cars, and that's why I love them so much. So articulation-wise, he has ball-jointed shoulders that get all around. He has solid 90-degree elbows with metal pins, a bicep swivel, and yes, keep in mind, this toy is more than 10 years old, and all of these joints are still tight and oomphy. They are strong joints. He is not floppy at all. I tightened up his hips a little bit, but aside from that, like, this toy held up amazingly well for over 10 years. He has a ball joint in his head, allowing for expressive tilts. Yes, check out the expression of that tilt. His hips are ball jointed, have a good range, solid 90-degree knees. Although I will say, because the thighs are a little bit too short, it doesn't really look like he's picking his leg up very much. But, you know, aside from that, he still has a good range. Like I said, slight issues with proportions, but not enough to put me off of him, and he just looks amazing. Then there's ankle movement down here. It's a transformation joint, but works for walking. And like I said, the ankle pivot. So this is a fantastically, wonderfully articulated toy. The fact that he has no waist joint being his only real weakness. If he had a waist joint, he would be A+. As he stands, he is a solid A-. And of course, you can put his gun in either hand, as you do, because guns are meant to be held. And, yeah. And, I just had to pick up this version of Hound, mostly because the movie Hound turned out to be, this really big, grizzled, fat dude with a beard, and he turns into an armored truck and is all covered with weapons. And yeah, I will admit that looks cool and from some perspectives, but for someone who remembers Hound as this sleek Jeep guy who turns into a sleek dude, you know, where'd all my sleekness go? I like my sleekness. So yeah, this just jives better with my personal sensibilities and my memories of Hound, and that's pretty awesome. So yeah, they truly do not make it like they used to. Please excuse me for a moment. Sorry about that. There was a little bit of an interruption in my apartment, and but yeah, they truly just don't make them like they used to. I feel that this is objectively better than 99% of the stuff that they put out today. Although, yeah, the other stuff can be combiner limbs, and they have headmaster gimmicks, but blah, blah, blah. Like I said, you already have a truck that can turn into a robot and back again. That's a gimmick. I like combiners, but this whole philosophy of everyone has to be a combiner now, I don't want to sound hypocritical, but I kind of wish that we could just have, these again. I don't know, I'm just saying. But like I said, it is probably impossible to truly have this back because, it's become too prohibitively expensive to manufacture plastic like this because of rising oil prices and boo-hoo, the real world. And that's why I'm not going to give modern stuff too much of a thing aside from, my old man speech, if only things could be like they were in the good old days. And I'm also really impressed by Ravage's transformation. It's very similar to the way his original G1 toy transformed, I think. It's just that as the resulting little Panther mode that we get, let's get Hound out of the way so we can see Ravage better. That looks pretty good. I mean, it looks like a cassette tape transformed into Ravage. I mean, it's sleek. He has a tail. There's enough play in the legs that you can actually, pose it. So it's not just like a brick. You can have him with a huge arched back, like he's pouncing or jumping, and his transformation joints work as articulation points as well. So, yeah. I mean, it's still weird that Ravage came packed with Hound of all things, but still, it's a good inclusion and it's a good Ravage toy. So, yeah, that's everything I had to say about the Hound and Ravage package, a blast from the past. Now let's take a look at some fair that came a little bit later than the classic lines, but still has a lot of that good old, they don't make them like they used to philosophy going for them. See you guys next time.